Nebraska takes down Purdue. Kasai Tamanaga scores 19 points. Rienk Mast also a wonderful defensive performance against Zach Edey. And I think that was kind of the story of the game. Fred Hoiberg schemed up things really well with the Nebraska defense, and Matt Painter just never really had an answer for it. Zach Edey never really had an answer for it. As great as this team is, they are going to run into some things every now and then where the team just is not going to be able to overcome what was going on. Now, they did at times. There was kind of some comebacks here, comes back there, but every single time Purdue came back, it felt like Nebraska just kind of got hot, went off. And even though it was a 16-point win, a 16-point win, it was closer than that throughout the game. Nebraska, like I said, just kind of pulled away there at the end. Burke, I'm going to give you the floor first to talk about the Boilermakers and the Huskers. What were your thoughts?
Hey, my thoughts to all those Boilermaker fans out there. Guess what? It's okay to lose at Nebraska. Okay? You can trust me. It's okay to lose at Nebraska. This is a solid Nebraska team. That is an awesome environment they've got going in Lincoln. That being said, there is no pain like losing when you're the top-ranked team. That pain it's the absolute worst. And just ultimately after the Rutgers game, like I said, I mean, I just followed that down Rutgers game into this slight uplift that was seeing Purdue get upset. But in that game, man, Nebraska's ability to shoot the ball, just spread the floor, Rienk Mast, just having to have Edey guard him, that spreads the floor in itself, opened up the lanes for all these guards just to have a day on the inside. And yeah, it was a nice palate cleanser for me to get to see that. But again, I do feel for the Purdue fans. I have a brother who's currently a senior at Purdue, and I root for them to have success. But losing when you are the top dog, there is no pain like it.
There's a certain team that I wished would have lost when they were the top dog in football a couple days ago, but we won't get into that, right? We won't go there. I will say that, this is just kind of the time of year where, top ranked teams fall, right? I mean, Houston fell yesterday as well. Tennessee fell today to Mississippi State, and not very, good Mississippi State team. They fell to them. So it's not like this is the only, Purdue's the only team this is happening to.
Yeah. So, hey, on that note, props to the 76 Hoosiers. They get a pop champagne again right now.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it was just, it was one of those games where Nebraska came out, they were hot, they had a good game plan. And quite frankly, Fred Hoiberg, he was just the better coach in the game. I felt like he made the better decisions. He rocked with his guys. He trusted his players. And it really showed. Alec, what were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta give a big shout out to the fellow unranked Purdue Reapers that wear red jerseys. Of course, feels like it's a whole thing now. Northwestern wears purple. That's a shade of red. It counts. But yeah, I agree with everything that you guys have been saying. I mean, Tominaga is just a star at this point. I mean, yeah, Rienk Mast looked great, especially on defense against Zach Edey, which is not easy to do. I know Rutgers makes it look easy sometimes, but it's not easy to guard him. I will say, I feel like I watched this game last year when Nebraska came to Jersey Mike's Arena, where it was just nothing could go right for Rutgers. Even whenever they would get back in the game, Nebraska would hit a couple shots, they just kind of pull away a little bit more. It's just one of those games where it's like no matter what you do, just can't get things to go your way. And it's not like they played a terrible game. I thought Purdue played a pretty good game, but Nebraska just played a better game. And Nebraska's coming to Rutgers next week, so that'll be an interesting test to see how they play. But I'm very impressed by Nebraska. The Cornhuskers look really good right now. They're really firing on all cylinders, even when maybe some things don't go right here and there. I'm really impressed with them so far. And yeah, I like Burke said, it's okay to lose it's okay to take a loss here and there. The Big Ten is a great conference, not as good as it was in the past, but it's one of the most physical out there. They're going to play some good basketball. And I mean, yeah, I'm looking at the live chat right now. I know Frank just said, 60% from three. And that's what I found really funny. When Purdue posted the final score on their Twitter, they, of course, included the little note that said, Nebraska shoots 14 for 22 from three as they defeat us. And I mean, you just got to tip your hat to, it's just insane. You got to tip your hat to an absurd 3-point shooting night.
Well, and also too, you have to look at the 3-pointing. Obviously 3-pointing. That's a great basketball term there. The 3-point shooting. Macy Gillis obviously did his part, right? 5 for 10 from three. Like he came in and he was hot. But Fletcher Loyer only 21 minutes in this game. Matt Painter kind of pulled him early, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking too much about it, but Matt Painter said something at the Big Ten tournament last year where he said something about how Fletcher Loyer's confidence maybe wasn't there completely. Now, I'm not trying to say that Fletcher Loyer is not a confident kid or anything like that, but there was just a small comment about that made, and I'm thinking to myself, like, do you really want to pull him in a game like this if he is a kid who struggles with confidence? Again, not saying he is, I'm just speculating here. If he is one of those kids who struggles with confidence, shoot or shoot. Do you let him get through the shooting? Do you let him, make that happen? Or did you agree with the pulling of Fletcher Loyer? Burke, I'm going to go to you on this one. Did you agree with the pulling of Fletcher Loyer, or did you think maybe Painter should have left him in there, seeing how good, like Frank said here, most were contested, wasn't even mad. Tominaga was going absolutely crazy. Do you leave Fletcher Loyer in that game just to try to combat a little bit of the 3-point shooting that Nebraska was shooting so well?
I mean, just in short, whenever you're down that much, you leave your shooters in any game down that much. It was a bit surprising, but hey, I mean, there's no sense in questioning Painter right now. I mean, it's not March. That's when you question Painter. Tominaga went nuts. It was a great night of shooting for the Nebraska team as a whole. 14 of 20, just an outstanding night. So, I mean, those are going to happen. And there are some nights where there's nothing you can do. As good as you bring it, if they bring that shooting, like there's just nothing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, and, Painter put Heidi in there for Fletcher Loyer. Heidi's shooting something like 50% this season. He's not shot the most 3-pointers just because he's not had the most playing time. But at a certain point, you're right, Burke. When the other team is just shooting so well, sometimes it's just not your night. And I think most Purdue fans can say that just happens from now and then, which kind of leads me to the other part, and I'll bring this to you, Alec. Zach Edey struggled against an undersized Rienk Mast. I know the scheme was good, but you would still like to see Edey kind of work through those things and maybe eventually find himself a little bit more. The scoring wasn't too bad. He did get 15 points, but only 7 rebounds. That should Purdue fans be concerned about Edey getting kind of schemed up here and not being able to be himself in this game?
I would say I wouldn't be too concerned. Obviously, it's not great when your star player, National Player of the Year contender struggles and is not up to his usual self. But at the same time, while Fred Hoiberg schemed up a really good game, you got to trust Matt Painter to scheme up an alternative game plan for when teams, go to some of these. I like to bring it back to Rutgers because I feel like they've done a really good job of defending Edey and Purdue the last couple of years with those, switch heavy, double heavy, trap heavy, type of defensive looks. And I think you got to trust Painter to, keep trying to dial up some of those looks. And Edey's going to get his no matter what. So I feel like you're never going to have to worry about him being completely shut out of a game. And I think you still have to trust to go to him. He's going to have his off nights, obviously. He's a college basketball player. Nobody's ever perfect. So I think you just got to trust him and Painter to really right the ship and get back on board. And yeah, I mean, like you guys were saying, sometimes it's just not your night and the other team is just on fire. So I think you got to trust the process and, just got to keep doing what you've already been doing because it's worked really well so far. And, maybe, tweak some things here and there, obviously. There's a reason they lost this game by double digits, even if it was closer than the score indicated. But I feel like you just got to keep, trusting Painter to scheme up some better looks. He's a great offensive coach. There's no doubt about it. So we'll see what they do from here. I think you still trust Edey to really find his footing and get back into these games and being his usual dominant self. So I trust him to still look pretty good. But of course, yeah, like there's going to be teams that are going to try to stop him and have some of these game plans, but not everyone has the versatility or the guys to do it. So we'll see how it goes from here, but I think you just got to trust him.
Yeah, and I think games like this are games that Purdue needs to continue to improve, right? When you're so good throughout the entire, regular season, conference play and stuff like that, it can be hard to prepare for those tough games in the tournament where maybe, one guy like a Zach Edey's not playing up to what he normally is. And, hopefully a game like this, I think most people would agree Purdue's still the favorite, by far the favorite to win the Big Ten this season. So I don't think there's concern about that right now. But it is kind of good to have these things happen with a struggling Edey from time to time. I have one more question because I do want to give some love to us. We've talked about him a little bit. I do want to give some love to Rienk Mast because he played a phenomenal game. And I think when he kind of came into the season, he was seen maybe kind of as a little bit more of a role player, right? Transferred up from a smaller school. I think it was Bradley was the school he transferred from. So, kind of maybe seen as more of a role player. And we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I said, look, Tominaga is getting the love, but is Rienk Mast really the star of this team? Don't get me wrong, Tominaga has the emotion and he's kind of the fan favorite and stuff, but just by like pure skill set, like, is Rienk Mast more of like the star of this team that really makes them work and really makes it happen? And should he be the one that is maybe looked upon as maybe an all Big Ten type of player, first team, second team guy? Burke, what are your thoughts on Mast?
My thoughts on the whole star factor of it is you're not going to dethrone Tominaga, just like with his story. There's just no doing that. Even if you are the new Big Ten Dutch destroyer, Rienk Mast, like
Dutch destroyer.
But he just came onto the scene and immediately was a centerpiece for this team. And it is truly astounding that the Nebraska Cornhuskers have assembled a squad that has now lived up into the hype, like into the new year. Like they're really figuring it out, and it is on the back, like as much fun as it is following Tominaga and just like watching him play. The success of this team is most squarely on the back of Rienk Mast.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for listening to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.